The United States Supreme Court has decided to get involved with whether states can block conversion therapy, where people are trying to spend money to convert those that believe that they are gay or are gay and convert them into something else. Sounds like something the Supreme Court should stay about as far away from as possible. But they've decided to take up a new case next term, and we break it down for you right now on Unprecedented on Legal AF. Take a listen. Let's switch gears and go to how about gender affirming therapy? Why don't you explain to our audience what has happened? What does it mean to accept the case for the next term? And what do we think it means that they want to stick their noses into this particular issue?
So there's a Colorado law that bans gender conversion therapy regarding a therapist in particular. And so this therapist is saying this violates my First Amendment rights. And interestingly, the group that is bringing this on behalf of the therapist is the same group that represented that Colorado cake maker, if you remember, that went to the Supreme Court saying they couldn't make the cake for a gay wedding.
The phony baker.
The phony baker.
It's the same who never got asked to bake a cake for a gay marriage.
It's true. It was theoretical, right? So it's the same group that is doing this. So, this is not some one-off thing, as this is obviously very strategic. The Supreme Court had a chance to take a conversion ban appeal before about 2 years ago and declined to take it. Why they're taking it now is disappointing. It's essentially the same argument. The therapist is arguing it's a First Amendment violation. She should be able to basically say whatever she wants to her client, right? And it's very similar to the RFK Jr. cases that we have been talking about on this show for quite a while now. If you remember, RFK Jr. was taking these certain COVID cases where the doctors were being suspended or having their license revoked for giving false information regarding COVID. And, these these medical boards were saying, you're violating basically your license. It's a similar idea here, because the idea is that you as a therapist could have more restrictions on your speech, right? That's the argument by Colorado. Colorado saying, like, if you were just a friend of the person and you wanted to talk conversion therapy and say whatever you want, like that, you would have a protected First Amendment right. But here with a therapist, there are, let's say, more duties, there are more restrictions allowed because you are a licensed professional. And so we are legislating around your speech as a licensed professional, which gives us more latitude to restrict your speech.
Yeah, I'm always uncomfortable when they take cases. And they want to, the transgender community is so under attack right now, so senselessly under attack. You've got Judge Reyes, who I'm sure will end up at the Supreme Court, just tore a new one into the Trump administration, and Pete Hegseth for trying to bounce transgender troops, Americans who happen to be transgender, who are also serving with valor and willing to make the ultimate sacrifice to our country. And Pete Hegseth likes to say things in his books and interviews like, they're untrustworthy, they're liars, they're not good for esprit de corps, they're going to commit suicide more than other people. And the judge was like, what are you even talking about? So transgender community under attack there, transgender community that happens to end up in prison under attack, transgender community, transgender members of Congress under attack. We just had a hearing. It got so bad that a MAGA chair of the hearing thought that another MAGA congressperson went too far to misgender the transgender representative, the person who happens to be transgender from Delaware, and kept calling her Mr. McBride, which was disgusting.
Disgusting.
And, she identifies as a woman, she has children, her state elected her, not when she was a man, but when she was already transgender. Yeah. Identifying as a woman. So who is this a-hole? Sorry, that's a medical legal term. Who is this?
That's right on.
To call her Mr. And it got so bad that even the guy, the parliamentarian, who's chairing, was like, that is beyond the pale, get a hold of yourself. So now whenever I see the Supreme Court trying to get into transgender issues and about people who have dysphoria, gender dysphoria, who believe they're in the wrong body, in the wrong gender body, and want to make a change. They like, can I find the old timey Republicans that used to stay out of my bedroom and stay out? Now they got their hands everywhere they shouldn't. They're in everybody's bedroom. They got their hands up every anatomical part imaginable. And they're supposed to be the party of conservatism and libertarianism. Where is that? It's the Democrats that stand up for people's rights, people's body autonomy and integrity and dignity. That's our party. Yeah. So we're going to have to see what happens. We're going to have to wait a long time. There's going to be briefing in between, but the case is going to be up in the October docket. We're here in March already, just to give people a little bit of a viewer's guide. Normally, the last oral argument is sometime in April. We start getting decisions in May, June, July, all the way up to August. Usually around the time of their summer vacation, they try to get out of town and then hit the print button on all these decisions. But with the Trump administration, so out of control. I mean, the one thing that made me chuckle in the filing of birthright citizenship is that they had to acknowledge that in the month of February alone, the Trump administration had more universal national injunctions against it than the first 3 years of the Biden administration.
I saw that. I know.
Well, but I half joked in a hot take. I said it's like the guy that kills his parents and asks for mercy because he's an orphan. You did it. Yeah. Maybe you could say a lot of things about Joe Biden, but he wasn't issuing blatantly unconstitutional executive orders challenging the separation of powers on a daily basis. So I don't want to hear them complaining about, we're getting enjoined everywhere. Well, stop acting out and stop lurching us from one. We're lurching from one constitutional crisis to the other. So what I was about to say is normally you and I would do like a final wrap and there'd be like a hiatus over the summer because we'd look at cases coming up, but I'm telling you, stay with unprecedented. There's so many emergency applications that they're going to have to like cancel their trips to the French Riviera. I'm talking about the Supreme Court justice, and I mean the MAGA ones, that we're going to be on the air live talking about live cases through the summer, don't you think?
Oh, I think so, for sure. He's doesn't care about the law. He's being audacious. Or the calendar, for sure. No, just to circle back to the conversion therapy, and for those that kind of were watching us in December, that's when the Supreme Court held oral arguments in whether or not in Tennessee their law banning transgender transition care, non-surgical care can be banned. We had that case. And then we also have the case in Oklahoma where whether or not public tax money can go to Catholic charter schools.
And we don't have the rulings yet.
No, we don't have the rulings yet. And then they're taking this conversion case, which really a lot of states have this law and they have had it for a long time. So the fact that they're taking these really extreme religious right cases is scary, especially when you have the Vice President of the United States talking about how we need more babies and we're rolling back reproductive rights. Like they are not only in our bedrooms and our homes trying to help interfere, let's say, with how we want to raise our children. But they are legislating in a way that is rolling back rights to the most vulnerable people in our community. We've talked about this before. I recommend Gracefully Grayson for anybody who's still wondering how a child can feel not like they were born in the right body. It's written from a child's point of view. But it is 5 alarm bells, scary bells here going on with the Supreme Court, with what the Republicans want to do outside the Supreme Court.
Welcome back. That was Dina Doll, legal commentator on the Midas Touch Network. And here, she and I do that show Unprecedented once a week. We look at everything related to the United States Supreme Court, from inside the courtroom, oral arguments, ethics breaches, leaks and breaches, we like to call it, oral arguments and final rulings, and then what happens next at the lower level, federal court level. We do it on Unprecedented. Join us here for Legal AF. If you like that kind of show, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment in there. And until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.